Noon, everyone. I am Todd Obert, joined here alongside me in the station. If you can point to him and find him, I will send you $1. It's the Where's Pete of the day. He's in that picture somewhere. And today, after we find him, we are going to talk about Sophos Intercept. If you have come to our events in the past, I say thank you. If you haven't, giddy up. We're going to spend a half hour talking about relevant technology. We're going to talk about how Sophos Intercept X is one of the few products on the market that can not only detect and remediate ransomware, but also can show you a map of where it was in your environment. Pretty cool stuff. And the guy that's going to show you that is Mr. Pete Greco. But first, let's meet Productive in 1 minute. Then we will do a couple slides and get into the demo. All right, Pete, are you there? Are you ready?
Ready to rock, T.O.
Sounds good. Let's meet Productive. Well, Productive Corporation provides security solutions for mid-sized companies. We have specialized expertise that can help you with licensing and technical questions so that you don't have to navigate that scary World Wide Web all on your own. We also implement, test, and optimize the products that we sell. We can do security assessments. We can help you with Active Directory security. We can do configuration and UTM optimization or help you with your just straight ahead firewall. In addition to that, we produce a lot of third-party content. We put it out on our YouTube channel as well as productivecorp.com/content. The bottom line is we have the resources to help you, whether it's implementation, assessment, licensing, or optimization services. We're here to help at productivecorp.com. And one of the ways that we help is by putting on these educational webinars, which we've been doing for almost 10 years. Whew, 10 years, wow. And we've been talking about relevant products. We've been talking about things you need to know for mid-market companies. Our next event in 2 weeks on Wednesday is going to be about fileless malware, the new headache for all of us. And so check that out if you go to our homepage, productivecorp.com. Look at the first or second banner and click on it, and you will find out all about it. But good stuff, knowledge series, dropping knowledge on you guys to hopefully help you out. So with that, I have Pete Greco, our VP of Sales and Technology, who is also going to drop some knowledge on you in the form of Sophos Intercept X. Pete, you ready to rock this thing?
Let's party.
All right, so let's give a virtual round of applause for Mr. Pete Greco. Pete?
All right, thanks so much for hopping on with us, everybody. Really appreciate your time. We're going to do our best to make this a great, what do we have left? 25 minutes to go. So without further ado, we're going to keep it rolling. So Sophos Central, right, is the framework for protecting your endpoints. Firewall management is coming to that interface. Anti-phishing training, managing your encryption keys, all kinds of fun stuff. But today we're going to be focused just on the Intercept X component. But we want to give you an idea of kind of what their master goal is, which is synchronized security. And basically what this is doing is this is letting your Sophos gateway, your Sophos endpoints, and your Sophos encryption work together to provide protection for the environment. And the way that it manifests itself is if you have some malicious code getting detected at the gateway emanating from one of your endpoints, but the endpoint security has not detected anything malicious happening yet, right? The firewall can communicate back to the endpoint, say what application is emanating this command and control code or whatever malicious code that it's doing, or maybe it's just going to a suspicious or a known bad IP address. This is bad, kill that application. The endpoint then can go to work interrogating that application that maybe has not done anything malicious yet, but we know it's about to, so it can kill it. In the meantime, the encryption agent can actually pull the key so that all of your documents go back to their encrypted format. So if something were to leak off, it's encrypted while it goes. The endpoint can be blocked from communication, right? And the firewall will block that endpoint until it identifies that everything has been cleaned up. Once it's cleaned up, and this is configurable by the admin, you can get an alert and you go and review it and make sure it's everything's to your liking, and then you allow it back on the internet, or you can have it set up to do that automatically. So once it goes from red or yellow back to green, then it automatically comes into play. It's really some nifty technology that can really take your protection to the next level. Today, though, we're going to be talking about one of those components, Intercept X, which can definitely take your endpoint to the next level. This is an add-on to the traditional Sophos next-gen antivirus. This component can actually add on to other AV solutions as well. And what it's looking for is ransomware, but it's also looking for hacking techniques and fileless malware to basically stop things that the antivirus does not see because it's not writing any kind of data to the disk. It's manipulating processes that have already been scanned and cleared by antivirus. It's running in memory, right, and doing all kinds of stuff that your original AV was not designed to look for. And this even includes some of the privilege escalation attacks that are being launched through PowerShell, right, to be able to grab cached credentials, hashed or non-hashed, right? And then you can basically match those hashed passwords up against a hash dictionary and then have legitimate access in, compromising and escalating system privileges. So turn a system account into an administrative account and then try and figure out how to compromise a domain account, right? So lots of things that are happening here. One of the components, and we'll be taking a look at this today, is CryptoGuard as a part of the Intercept X. And basically what this thing is doing is it's monitoring file access. And a lot of the AVs can stop ransomware once they have a signature for it. So hopefully your AV is going to detect it first, but if it's something that's brand new or one of the latest fileless ransomware attacks, right, where they're initiating a fileless attack, they're dragging along the ransomware once they've initiated some additional compromise onto the machine so that it's going undetected, this is going to grab that stuff. So it's monitoring that file access, right? It's stopping the process and investigating the history of that process to do a comparison and figure out this is starting to look not right. How has it looked in the past? This is different. We need to investigate this further and then begin the block. If any files do get encrypted, it can do a rollback of those using their own proprietary technology. And the reason that that's important is being able to roll back from an attack is not brand new technology. It's not a concept unique to Sophos by any means. But what almost everybody else is doing is they're leveraging VSS. And so what the malware guys have figured out is, let's disable that first and delete the caches so that you don't have the shadow copy to restore. So that's their next good move. And so with Sophos proprietary technology, they don't have that capability to do that. And then the last thing that we're getting is a root cause analysis. And this is basically a built-in incident response that you're going to see within 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes of that attack, that's going to show you everything that happened, basically the anatomy of that attack, so that you can start doing an investigation with real data, right? And we'll show that to you in just a sec. And it's really, it's pretty cool to look at, but really helpful in figuring out what are all the components of this machine that got touched, and did this touch any of my other machines or communicate to any external URLs or IP addresses. So a lot of good stuff there. So let's take a look. All right, so I've got a couple of guests up here with Sophos Intercept X deployed, and actually meant to get this, where's my mouse? There we go. Get this turned off. On this one, I'm actually disabling the protection so that our Sophos tester tool is going to run rampant. And on this machine, we actually have the protection enabled, right? So I'm going to run the same couple of attacks here. Let me get my tester open on both. We're going to run ransomware, and I like the crypto locker, but all of these are good. And basically what this attack is actually doing is the attack has been customized to just run in a specific directory. So it's not running rampant on the entire machine. And this tool, someone asked earlier if this would be something available for customers to use and fool around with, potentially being released to you folks to fool around with, but we don't know the details on that as of yet. So I'm going to run this crypto locker test on both machines. On the machine where we have our Intercept X turned off, it successfully encrypted the 8 documents that I have here. The exploit succeeded. When we do the same thing over here, that's stopped and cannot run. So the files will be in the clear, right? And so this bypassed our antivirus, right? And on this machine, we're running Intercept X only. We have a third-party AV product installed. On this machine, we're running the full Sophos package. Now, I can disable Intercept X on this machine here and enable it over here and run this, and we'll see the exact same results. So the Sophos antivirus is not going to be necessarily any better at stopping ransomware and some of these advanced threats than anybody else's AV. That Intercept X with the crypto guard specifically designed to go after that. So that's just one kind of threat, right? Ransomware, quite terrible. Some other things, and at least the benefit with ransomware is once it's known and a signature comes out, then your AV has a great shot at stopping it. But until then, you can be very vulnerable. But what about some of these other things? Memory exploits, or one of my favorites, and I was kind of mentioning this earlier, stealing passwords using PowerShell as the root device to take advantage of. You know, what are you going to do here? Antivirus is going to have nothing to do with this kind of an attack, not built to stop it at all. And as we launch this with Intercept X, it's refusing the connection, and it's telling you need administrator privileges. We can start this tool as an admin. We're going to get the same result because it's identifying the hacking technique and it's blocking the technique. There's no code to scan, so it's blocking the technique. Memory attacks, exact same thing here, right? We're going to see the exploit is not working, and we're seeing our little notification from the Sophos console pop up. Let's hop over here real quick just to show you that I'm not really cheating this system. I'm going to enable my protections here. Let me just do a quick update so it brings that agent back in line with the settings, and we'll see these turn on here in the next few seconds. Just got a nice little education from our Sophos rep. I never realized that when you disable these one by one, you can't re-enable them without actually disabling the tamper protection, because they want you to bring the machine back into baseline for troubleshooting before you do the next thing. Yeah, there's actually I was thinking bug or maybe Java issue or something crazy like that. There's actually a method to their madness. So right, a good little education for me. So my protection is back on here. As I come into my ransomware, we just ran the crypto locker. We'll run that same thing. You can see that's stopping it. Down here, that's starting. And then the next thing that we're going to see here, and I don't know if anybody caught it over here, then Sophos Clean is going to run. And that's going to go through and start remediating any remnants. Now, the more successful an attack is, or maybe I'm saying that wrong, the more through the process the attack gets, there's more to remediate, right? But even if this thing is stopped right at the onset, there might be a few things to clean up there. Now, if you're talking about some of these fileless attacks, there may be nothing to clean up. It'll stop the attack, but there'll be nothing for Sophos Clean to do. With ransomware or some other kinds of malware, then a lot of times there's remnants to be cleaned up. Once this stuff is happening here, the next thing that's going to happen is I'm going to get an email that's telling me I have an issue. And when that happens, then I'm going to log on to my Sophos console here in the cloud. Right, and I have a whole lot of stuff going on here. If you were looking at adding Intercept X to your McAfee or Kaspersky or AVG or whatever product you're you're running, you're probably just going to see the endpoint protection, right? But we're running this on servers. We have the mobile protection. We're using the Sophos Central to manage our BitLocker on our laptops, right? We can do anti-spam and email security. And one of my favorite things to play with, the phish testing, where you can actually phish your folks, collect results, provide training videos, and set up as a campaign so that it runs automatically. So once you create the campaign and assign your users to it, it's just going to run automatically. And you're just going to look at the dashboard and figure out who's clicking on stuff they shouldn't, who's entering their password into dummy websites, who's doing stuff that's going to cause us to get some of these attacks, because that's how a lot of them are originating, right? So we're going to drill into our endpoint protection. You can see I'm already getting some stats up on the dashboard. I should have showed that to you before I clicked, but hopefully everybody saw I had at least one up there. We're probably going to have a few more that are rolling in, right? And so now I'm into my endpoint section. I'm going to go right into that root cause analysis here, and this is where I'm going to see those threats. Now, once Clean completes and does the analysis, it's usually going to take somewhere between 5 and 15 minutes for that data to upload. So after this demo is over, I'm still going to see some information popping in here for this root cause analysis. And so you can see some of the stuff that's already in here. I've got the exploit stack pivot threat. And as we click on that, I can do a couple of things here. I can change the prior to this. You can see that's labeled as a medium. The ransomwares typically are going to be labeled as high, right? And so I can change that if I want. And I can also show that I am in progress of investigating. And whoever else is working on this with me can now follow along with me on what I'm doing and see the notes in the history here. Usually this pops up quite quick, right? And so I can also go over to my visualize screen now, and I can see the anatomy of this attack. And this should be there we go, zooming out. Let me just pop on the registry keys there. And so I'm looking at a whole bunch of stuff now, right? And so you can see from the legend up top, right? Green is processes, dark blue registry keys, light blue files, network connections. Down here, the red dot is showing me the root cause. This is where the threat originated from. And then the beacon, or the blue dot, is the actual threat itself, right? And so as I pop up here now, here's my red dot, here's my blue dot over here. And this is a fairly lightweight attack, so I don't have a ton of stuff going on. Some of these get to be pretty crazy, especially when you're looking at not this limited threat of CryptoLocker or Locky, but when you run the full version, there's a lot of stuff that thing is going after. And so this thing will probably be triple or quadruple this amount of information. I've seen some that are pretty big, and I've seen some that's really just a few things that are getting touched before it gets killed, right? And so as I click on this now, I can see a little bit more information about where this resided and when it ran and how long it took and this kind of stuff. 432 milliseconds before it got crushed. If I have too much information, I can move these around a little bit so I can read this a little bit better, right, and see those reads and writes and this kind of stuff. As I'm really starting my investigation, this is interesting to see how this thing spread and where it went to. But at some point, I'm really going to need to start figuring out what were these exact files, what were these registry items. And to do that, the easiest way to get a good amount of information is hopping into this artifacts section here. And so once I come in here, this is all of the things that went down. And then I can kind of start filtering this by clicking on these boxes here. So 7 processes, and as I click on these processes, I'm getting some more information over here, right? 1 file read, 1 registry value set. Now I can come over here and see those registry keys. And as I click on these, I can see that's a value that got set. I might want to investigate that. That's a value that got set. Might see some that say created, right, or modified, or only have seen a couple where a registry key has been deleted, but those are all issues. And with this fileless malware, where you really want to get serious about investigating the registry, is that stuff is running exclusively in memory. And the challenge there is the user reboots. Maybe they're noticing, this machine is running slow, so they do a reboot, right? And that's what I tell all my folks. Before you do anything or before you get me, reboot it and see if that fixed it, because most of the time it does, right? That's my experience. And so if you do that, you're clearing the error out of, or clearing the attack out of memory, right? So they figured this out. That makes them vulnerable to getting cleaned out without even any anti-malware stopping them. So they start putting items in the registry so that they can restart that attack in the case of memory getting cleared. So we need to make sure that we get that. And I've had some incidents prior to having access to a product like this where we'd run a scan, things would get clean. Okay, we feel like we're good. Next time the machine boots up, we've got the attack again. We clean it out. We do all this stuff. I booted from rescue disk, tons and tons and tons of things, and I didn't clear it out because it kept starting up in the registry. And until I did a registry scan and cleaned the registry, I kept getting reinfected with the error, right? And that's a fairly advanced attack that can be done with a low-level amount of skill and intelligence, thanks to the ability to be able to buy these attacks as a service or rent them from more advanced hackers, right? And the advanced attacks are being put on by organizations who have R&D, they have money behind them, and they're built to steal millions and millions and millions of dollars. And our focus is on the mid-market, and those are the folks that are under the most attack because they have the least amount of protection. They typically don't have an InfoSec team, or if they do, it's a small team, and it's hard for them to keep up with everything that's coming at them. And so that is really becoming the golden target for hacking organizations who are looking to make money, not hundreds of millions at a time or millions at a time, but even $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 at a time. And that stuff adds up over the long haul. So we're getting a lot of good information here, right? So we can start remediating. If we see any network connections in here, we don't have any network connections, but if we see network connections, we want to take a look at that and figure out, did this spread to other machines on my network? Did this communicate externally to URLs or external IPs? And then I can start trying to figure out if I lost any data or if any data got exfiltrated, right? And that's where that synchronized security really comes into play. In that kind of situation, you see a network connection, but the encryption key got pulled. If any data went off, it was encrypted anyway. You're good to go. And this is where we're really starting to talk more about application encryption beyond just full disk, right? With full disk encryption, once you unlock that disk, the data is all decrypted. But with application encryption, we encrypt the individual files so that if somebody grabs them, they're basically useless to them, right? And that's what we want to do. To get this thing set up, pretty easy to do. The first thing that we'll do is go to Protect Devices. And if we're using all of the Sophos components, we can download the complete installer. And if we're just running the Intercept X, then we'll just download that component or any of these other individual components, right? And then we can roll it out to our machines using a PDQ deploy or SCCM or whatever it is that you might be using. Then we'll go into our policies, is what I meant to click on. And I have this Intercept X only policy for our machine that we just have Intercept X on with another AV. For our internal use, right, we have Intercept X as well as the Sophos AV deployed on there. We're just going to drill into this one though. And by default, everything is on, and that's how we recommend you running it. And so you'll add your users into here, and you could pull them in from Active Directory. There's a little utility that will import your Active Directory in here, so you have all of your folks, or you have your groups, or however you're doing it. See, I just have a couple of machines in this one. And as I go into the settings, typically this is what it's going to look like. With the default, if I want to custom configure this, I can turn this off, and you can see mine matches, so nothing has changed here. I can create exclusions if I need to. We haven't seen any exclusions yet for Intercept X, but you can plug those in if you want to, right? And this is going to offer you that next level of protection. So lots of reporting that you can get in here. You can see the events. If you're running the AV, a whole bunch of additional stuff that you can set up beyond just the antivirus and host-based intrusion prevention. application control, device control, web content filter on the endpoint, which I really like because then it follows the device around rather than I'm filtering them when they're at the office and when they're not, it's Wild West time. So I really like that. Happy to show you guys this full suite of stuff. Also happy to show you how this ties in with the Sophos firewall and how that synchronized security works. This is one of those features where the endpoint and the firewall are working together. You can see I've got one system at risk here. I can go and take a look at it after this demo gets over and start remediating. Oh dear, those are both my machines. How terrible of me. Yeah.
Yeah, not a shock. Anyway, quick question. We have somebody on here. They had the last web event they'd been on. They saw that Intercept X only worked with 365. Does Intercept X have support for on-prem Exchange?
No. I guess I'm not entirely sure what they're referencing with Office 365. Intercept X is getting installed on your laptops and workstations. For servers, there's a reduced functionality called CryptoGuard. It's basically got everything except for the root cause analysis, which is on the way. It doesn't have any specific Exchange protection. Where it would protect an Exchange server, an on-prem Exchange server, would be defending that server from an attack and hopefully preventing the attack from actually reaching the Exchange database. But it doesn't have an Exchange plugin, and it doesn't do anything with Office 365 other than protecting. I have my OneDrive synced locally. And so it's defending that local sync, which is getting uploaded to the cloud, but it's not directly protecting O365.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a lot of stuff. I hope everybody found that to be informative. We can definitely do a deep dive or talk more individually about what's going on with your environment and see if we can help you take your protection to the next level. Yeah,
I think that sounds like a great plan. So I'm going to sign up if I can. If you show me where to sign, I'm in.
Yeah, you just follow up with your productive rep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. And as well, if anybody who came today needs to follow up with a rep, they will be reaching out to you. So thanks so much, Pete. Fantastic presentation. And thanks, everybody, for taking the time today, because 30 minutes out of your day is significant. So we truly appreciate it that you spent with us. If you found something you liked, fantastic. If there's other stuff you want to hear about, let us know. And if we missed the mark, let us know as well. As for now, I am Todd Obert, along with Pete Greco, wishing you a fantastic balance of your day and week. And hopefully, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everybody.